My ex and I divorced 3 years ago. She was cheating, but at this point I don't care about the relationship anymore. The pending lawsuit has nothing to do with her or him, but rather their actions. My ex and I have a son 13M that we split time with 50//50. He's a great kid that interests have changed a lot tbh as I imagine more kids//teenagers tend to do through the years. One thing my son was heavily into at some point was Legos. He used to play with them all the time, and personally I think they're a great toy for different reasons. I used to love playing them with him, and to this day I still collect boxes that I leave unopened as a collection. Well, when my ex and I divorced, she got with someone who loved Legos more, I guess. From what I know, he loves making creations and building the sets in. I don't care. Seems cool. He does one thing I think is very, very weird. He uses crazy glue so the sets can't break or pieces can't be lost. It seems so weird to me. The issue is, I was out of town for all of 3 days last week for medical reasons. And my son wanted to get his PS4 so he could play it at his mom's. This isn't out of the ordinary at all, and he has a key, so he let me know he would be stopping over for it. I told him to have fun when I saw him on the entry camera. My wife's husband was with him, which was a no-no. I told him via speaker to not go in and to wait on the porch. He flinched but walked in anyway. I sent my ex a text telling her to call him and tell him he's 1 minute away from a cop call. He left my home with a bag in hand, which I didn't think much of because my son had his games too. Well, my son texted me later that evening and said he didn't know it at the time, but he's pretty sure SD took some of my sets. These are all old sets and 2 are worth big money. When I got home I confirmed the missing sets and called my ex. She had no idea, but he admired he took them, but it was so son could have the sets to complete his collection. My son doesn't even like Legos anymore and told his mom he wouldn't steal from me. My wife asked how much it would cost to replace them, and unfortunately it's more than their savings. Actually, it would take their house down payment plus more. I told them if they didn't pay in 2 weeks I was suing and pressing charges. The price in the sets makes it a felony. My ex and her husband are saving for a house which would give my son more space when he's there. But those sets were going to help pay for his education someday or a home of his own. I filed the police report and have talked to a lawyer, and we're moving forward with the suit. Everyone is calling me a joke because they are just toys, but I don't get it. They are worth real money. I'm not rich, guys. I needed those to help with my son's future, but again taking this money does deny my son things at his mom's house. Me and my daughter, Anya, are from India. Our native language is Hindi. She's 11 years old now. Her father died when she was 5 and I immigrated to States because everyone was trying to get me remarried to a 60-year-old sleazebag. Because...
Oh no.
However will a woman live or raise a child alone? I started dating my now husband when Anya was 6. He had a 5-year-old son, Ben, 50% custody. Me, Anya, Ben, husband and Ben's mom get along really well. The kids were very well adjusted and they were genuinely happy when we got married. Whenever tensions arose, we dealt with them patiently. Let's just say after walking through the minefield of Indian family / drama, diffusing these toy bombs were very easy. Anya has a habit of talking in Hindi when she gets really excited. Sometimes, while talking to me, she starts talking in Hindi without even realizing it. This wasn't a problem. If she does that while others are around, I would remind her and she would revert back to English. Few months ago, Ben's mom passed away and he came to live with us full time. He has a room already and we put Ben into therapy immediately. A week ago, Ben walked in when me and Anya were cooking and we were talking in Hindi and he started crying. He told me he is feeling bad that he can't understand what we are saying. I hugged him and consoled him and assured him that we didn't do it to exclude him purposefully. And then Anya started crying and apologized. The whole thing was just heartbreaking. Since then, Anya has been making conscious efforts to talk only in English and I can tell that it puts Ben at ease. Yesterday, however, she was frustrated and started lamenting about school work in Hindi to me. Me and Anya were in the living room and Ben and husband were in the kitchen and they heard it. Later that night, my husband told me how he thinks we must start thinking about giving punishments whenever she speaks in Hindi unconsciously until Ben starts feeling better. I was horrified at this suggestion. I have never pulled the "she is my daughter, not yours" card. But this is the hill I am willing to die on and use that card if necessary. Whether he likes it or not, it's her first language. Expecting her to always converse in her second language, even when she is feeling some extreme emotions, is just cruel. Especially after she is genuinely making an effort to make Ben feel more comfortable. It's almost like punishing for her heritage or for her being Indian. Of course, this is a huge point of conflict between me and my husband. I think it's unfair to do this to Anya, even temporarily. He thinks me and Anya are unnecessarily making feel Ben bad while he is mourning his mother, while we can try and prevent it. Both of us are conflicted here. My brother is a very hardworking man, and at 27 he is now very wealthy and doing well for himself. He's been with this girl for 6 months, and throughout the time we have gotten close because we both like hair, makeup, and shopping. I never knew there was anything wrong with their relationship except when she texted me last week saying she would love to hang out, but thinks it'll be inappropriate because her and my brother broke up. I asked her why, and she said she was sick and tired of auditioning to prove she was with him for the right reasons. She went on to say that my brother is paranoid she's after his money, so he would test her, like leaving out his bank statements on their bed and getting upset when she picked it up, going out to eat at high-end restaurants he requested and leaving his wallet on home at purpose to make her pay the bill and prove she's not going out with him for money, never buying her gifts and questioning her when she asks why he doesn't. I was shocked, so I had to hear my brother's perspective. We spoke and he told me everything she said was true and that there's nothing wrong with making sure his girlfriend is with him for the right reasons. He said he left his bank statements on the bed and was peeking through the door to see if she would be curious. And when he saw her pick up the papers, he knew in his gut she was using him for his money. So he set up the restaurant idea to see if she would get upset at paying a $500 bill, which she was. I asked him if he thinks her being an elementary school teacher could have contributed to her being upset at a $500 bill at a restaurant he wanted to go to, and he said no. He said the straw that broke was when she asked him why he hasn't bought her a single gift since they've started dating, when she bought him a gaming console and new rims for his car, and he knew she was just discreetly asking him to buy her an expensive gift. He confronted her and said he thinks she's with him for his money, so she said let me do us both a favor and dumped him and blocked him. He's upset about the gold digging. And when I laughed, he called me an asshole. He said I would never understand what it's like being a rich man and being used, and I get that concern, but I told him if he thinks any woman will be okay with his tests and auditions, he's delusional as hell. If he doesn't want to be used for his money, he should start dating people as wealthy as him or leave lower income people alone, if he's not going to be genuine in his relationships unless they pass his test. My boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years. He's a good heart and is normally rational, but his one issue is that he expects to accompany me in every occasion no matter how big or small. He even went with me to my ex-boyfriend's funeral after days of begging. Now my best friend got married few days ago. It was very small and only close family and friends were invited. My boyfriend couldn't come because of the +1 rule. He pitched a hissy fit saying my best friend has no respect for my relationship and was shocked when he learned that I was still going to attend. He told me that if he can't go then I'm expected to not go as well, but that is my best friend and I had to respect her rules. He gave me an ultimatum: either we go together or I stay home with him. I ended up going cause again I respected my friend's rules. He was angry with me and kept calling the entire 2-hour drive, then stopped. Later I got a text from his friend telling me he, my boyfriend, got into an accident and was taken to the hospital. I freaked out. He gave me the address and I had to leave the wedding and told my friends why. I was crying the entire drive home and kept calling his friend but got no response. I arrived to the hospital and asked about my boyfriend and they checked and told me he wasn't there. My anxiety reached 160% as I kept calling his friends one by one. I just went home and there he was, along with his friend. He saw me and said that he was sorry, but this was the only he can get me home after I left him alone. After the initial shock, I just blew up yelling at him about lying and making me leave my friend's wedding, and having me literally go to the hospital and freaking out cause of him. I kicked his friend out and we got into an argument. He kept talking about how much I love him, thus I left, which is my own doing, not his, and he was just trying to see if I really chose my friend's wedding over him. He then argued that my friend caused this and I shouldn't agree with her to exclude him. I said what he did was horrible and called him horrible and then went to my room. It was awful cause my friends kept calling to check in on him cause they thought he was really at the hospital. He said I overreacted and that I yelled at the wrong person. He has a history of mental health issues but got better the past few months. He also had a recent death in his family which really affected his health generally.